Hey y'all, SuperClassy here. I'm out at Anza Borrego Desert State Park in San Diego County in Southern California. It's been a beautiful day today. The Nightcrawler and I came out here to check out some wildflowers because it's supposed to be a super bloom this year. And we picked up a guide for the wildflowers that are currently blooming at the visitor center near Borrego Springs. I highly recommend a visit there and definitely sign in. Funds are allocated to local parks depending on visitor counts. And since this is such a huge park, the biggest park in California, most visitors aren't counted. So to increase funding for this park and make sure that it gets the care and love that it needs and deserves, make sure to drop by the visitor center. You can pick up a map, you can pick up all kinds of information, and there's actually great interpretive displays there as well. So I am looking here. I'm a little bit near the Arroyo Salado campground, but you can actually park and camp, which is what we're doing, on virtually any road within the park as long as you remain within one vehicle length of the road. So we're just sort of dispersed camping out on our own, although Arroyo Salado nearby has a vault toilet, which is really handy if you are into that sort of thing. At any rate, I have my wildflower guide I've been checking out all day. I've been wandering around this morning, identifying flowers, and my sippy cup of wine. So let's go for a walk. Right here, I'm looking at a field, and they're all over the place, but I have to stay where I'm able to maintain the LTE. I'm looking at a field of Arizona Lupin, and there's a bunch of desert sunflower here as well. In the foreground, the bottom lavender creepers are desert verbena, and they smell amazing. But what I wanted to show you here and what I wanted to start with is this gorgeous desert lily. You don't find these as often, so this is a beautiful specimen of desert lily. And one of my favorites out here is the spectacle pod, which has these really cool leaves on it. They kind of look like paddles. Most of the flowers remain low to the ground. They can't grow very high. There's not a lot of water out here. So let's just walk around and see what we can find. So again, the taller spiky flowers are the Arizona lupins or lupines. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it, as I said. And advertise, this is an entirely unprofessional walk. I'm not a botanist. I don't really know a bunch about flowers other than I have a great interest in them. There's a closer look at the desert sunflower there with more sand verbena, and they actually start smelling more in the evening with some spectacle pod above it. This is all right here within, well, I have no idea what the distance is, less than 0.1 of the van, just walking around in this sandy wash. Down here is some rock daisy with the little tiny white flowers are popcorn flowers, and this is Spanish needle with the tiny pinkish purple flowers in the foreground. Back here, and these are all over the place as well, are brown-eyed evening primrose. I thought they might smell nice, but they don't really smell like much of anything at all. It's interesting how you can walk just like a couple of steps in one direction or the other and just find entirely different flowers. Like just here are a ton of rock daisies with popcorn flower and more sand verbena. But on just the other side of this tiny dune, there's a bunch of spectacle pods, sand verbena. I'm not sure what this plant is. It has tiny yellow flowers on it, but that's a desert chicory that's just getting ready to bud out there. And this, I like these too. These are notchleaf Phacelia. However, you shouldn't touch them because apparently the oil on the leaves can be an irritant to the skin. Oh, here is some more Spanish needle. The ones that have the really tiny flowers. I've seen a bunch of giant moths that look like hummingbirds working all of these plants this evening. Some more brown-eyed evening primrose. Oh, that's a sweet little popcorn flower in there. The white ones. Agrippa rock daisies. And then back here, these look kind of like the desert sunflower, but these are actually desert dandelion. You can tell the difference because they grow way lower to the ground, and they all have these tiny red spots in the middle of them. So, all of these different flowers, I'm just amazed at the diversity out here. People tend to think of the desert as a place where nothing grows and nothing can live. But as you can see, with just a little bit of rain, you can end up with giant fields. We passed by huge fields of San Verbena this afternoon. Tons of petal peepers out here. If you come to the park, I definitely recommend that you come. Here's a giant specimen of, well, not giant, I guess there's a bunch of popcorn flower in there, but the brown-eyed evening primrose with some spectacle pod next to it. If you come, and there's a taller Phacelia. There are actually two specimens or two different types of those there. And there's some desert chicory in the back. That's actually budding out a little better. I definitely recommend that you come to the park during the week if you can at all possible, because it's definitely slammed here on the weekends. Both Borrego Springs and the areas that are designated as the flower hotspots are just packed with people. Here's some poppies. Little yellow gold flowers getting ready to go, and then a small Arizona lupin. This particular area I wanted to finish with. I couldn't go very far because I wanted to make sure I remained within LTE range. There's no phone service within most of the park, depending on where you are. Once you start going up into the canyons, you definitely lose service almost right away. But it's just beautiful out here. I mean, look at this place. This is an amazing place to get to come and camp. Camping is free in most places. Some of the campgrounds that have services attached to them are paid, and there are only a couple of day use areas that require any money. But this is probably one of my favorite parks in California. And you can actually fit every other California state park within Anza Borrego. It's about 650,000 square acres of land that's protected down here in southern, oh look, there's a bat. Protected down here in Southern California. But I wanted to end with this, which is one of the hardest plants to find, and I just happened to find it this morning. This is the ghost flower. Just one little guy. He's the only one I've seen all day. Anyway, if you do pick up this guide, you can pick it up virtually any place in town, but to support the park the best, you can pick it up at the Anza Borrego Foundation or the Visitor Center office, which is off of Palm Canyon Road, a little bit north of Borrego Springs. And this park just offers so much diversity and variety with elevation range from 60 feet below sea level to over 6,000 feet above sea level. You really can get just about anything. When we were driving down here last evening, there was snow on the side of the road, and now we're down here and I'm wearing a sundress. And up until I started this walk, I was wearing flip-flops, but now because I'm trying to walk around and not trample vegetation, which is a good idea, try to leave no trace when you come out here. I'm actually wearing real shoes, which is... But it's been 75 degrees today. It's the end of February. What a beautiful place to be, and enjoying our public lands in Southern California. More spectacle pods over here and a bunch of sand verbena. It just smells amazing out here. At any rate, I hope you've enjoyed the flower walk. Just an amazing variety of flowers that you can see just getting out of your car and walking around for a short distance. I've identified probably 16 to 20 different specimens of different wildflowers today alone, which is pretty amazing. And we'll just end again with this sweetheart. I hope you enjoyed.